This is Eric Miskell with EMSNOW, and welcome to this edition of EMSNOW Up Close. Today, it's my pleasure to bring to you a representative from the Republic of Georgia to talk about Georgia as an emerging location for electronics manufacturing. So joining me today is Mikheil Khidureli, who is the CEO of Enterprise Georgia. Mikheil, thank you for joining me today. Thanks for taking time. I've been looking forward to this because we've done an article about Georgia on our site, and we've been doing some promotion of it. And so it's a great opportunity to ask you some questions and learn more about what's happening over there.
Pleasure, Eric.
Absolutely. Well, let me begin by asking you to kind of introduce yourself and Enterprise Georgia, the mission of Enterprise Georgia, and what you do.
All right. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. First of all, I'm also very happy that every time we get a chance to talk about Georgia investment climate, especially now when we understand that the competition is not the same as it was before, is definitely harder. We always accept the opportunity, and thank you for that. So Enterprise Georgia is, let's say, 3 agencies into 1 agency. So it's expert promotion, SME development, and last but not the least, investment promotion, which is so we are investment promotion agency of the country, and our main goal is to attract investments to the country and to be we are designated as a go-to one-stop shop service for investors. So when investor enters Georgia or is interested in Georgia, they talk to us, and we do coordinate all the issues they have with different government organizations. We organize meeting with the local Georgian businesses because usually investors are always interested to meet someone who is already investing in Georgia. So imagine that we are one-stop shop service business consultants for investors, free of charge.
Gotcha. Oh, that's good, especially the free of charge, right? Now, there's also a shift. Obviously, it's being promoted by the government. I know that, and having taken a look, there is a new government, a new prime minister this year, right? And the government of Georgia has been aggressively promoting kind of growth and to bring more business into Georgia. Can you speak to that?
FDI is definitely has always been our priority number 1. Again, post-pandemic, it stays as a priority. We even created a new specific FDI program called FDI Grant, which means that for priority sectors, which also includes the sectors like business process outsourcing, electronic devices manufacturing, airplane parts, automotive parts, logistics, and MRO, all these investors are granted a cashback. So if investor invests X amount of money and employs X amount of people, the government is ready to give the cashback of up to 300,000 USD. And that cashback can be spent on 2 things. One is workforce training, and the second one is light infrastructure. So so when investor has some costs that are occurred in these directions, the government is reimbursing. So this is in addition to all the macro, let's say, all the fiscal and tax incentives that we already have.
Okay. So what was it about electronics manufacturing, what we're here to discuss today, that was attractive for Georgia? You know, I mean, as you say, it's considered a priority sector, right?
First of all, I think it's brings a lot of technology to the country, which is a priority of the government. Secondly, it is export oriented, and definitely the manufacturing and the industries that are export oriented is our top priority at the same time. Even if you see our portfolio of SMEs that we fund in Georgia, we have a special incentives for companies that are export oriented, which means that, that's kind of a government strategy. And definitely electronic sector is something that we are not starting from the scratch, even though it's a new sector for Georgia. We cannot definitely say that it's a developed sector in Georgia, but we do have some really nice and interesting success stories. Like, for example, we do have Elbit Cyclone, a company who manufactures airplane parts for Boeing. We do have a company that manufactures solar panels. We do have a French company that manufactures heaters, conditioners. So we want to build on that success. And even though if you see our economy, it's quite diversified, very let's say strongly reliant on tourism, on transportation, on financial sector. We want to diversify our economy, and we can do that. We see that Georgia has a potential to do that because we have skilled labor force. We have very honestly speaking, competitively priced labor force, which is a big thing for an investor.
Yeah.
You have a very low taxation rates. The total tax rate of Georgia is 9.9%, which gives us an opportunity to say that we are number 3 in the world as a least tax burden country by World Bank. So I mean, you can't really go below that.
Yes.
We do have free trade agreement, even though the Georgia itself is a small consumer market, and the company who wants to invest in Georgia will not definitely have an interest just for a Georgian market, but our free trade agreements that we have allows us to have access to 2.3 billion consumer market. So yeah, the slide actually shows the unique selling points about Georgia, and one of the points is definitely what I was speaking about. It's free trade agreements with 2.3 billion market, right? Including European Union, including EFTA countries, CIS, and China. We are the only country in the region that does have a free trade agreement both with European Union and China. So it's a pretty simple value proposition that we have, right? I mean, you are a Chinese company that wants to export goods to Europe. You come, you invest in Georgia. Logistic-wise, you can also see that we're in the center. So and the logistic route that goes from China to Europe through Georgia is definitely much more efficient than around the Indian Ocean. So free trade agreement, logistical connectivity, ease of doing business, low taxation, and competitively priced, skilled, and productive labor force. I think all this is pretty appealing to electronic sector, and also again, you can find workforce that is in that direction because we have a, let's say, constantly refreshing talent pool who are graduating vocational, educational, technical subjects, and more as time goes by, technical, let's say, professions are getting much and more popular, not just in Georgia but generally. So Georgia is not an exception.
Yeah, and so clearly, the value proposition is leveraged on the regionalization and the location, and as you put it, as it states, are strategically located, right? Kind of that crossroads between Europe and Asia makes it this pristine kind of an area. I think the ease of doing business was one that really struck me, that because oftentimes, as in developing countries, doing business can be very challenging, right? And getting your experts in, getting your products in and out, materials in and out, and all that. Talk to me about the logistical side of it too, from the infrastructure piece, and what Georgia has that allows it to be successful in that way.
Actually, Eric, we can go to the slide where we can visually show the how much time you actually save in terms of logistics. We can go down.
That this one?
No, the other one.
I'm sorry.
Just scroll down to the end of the slides.
Oh.
Be there. Yeah. The upper one. The sixth one. Number 6.
Number 6.
Yeah, is it just my screen, or it doesn't really show the?
It shows it, but it's.
Oh yeah, there has to be a map of Georgia.
The map is missing. So
yeah, from China. Yeah, I mean, but we can see how much time it takes with
5
train,
days,
with airplane, with a truck. So actually, the central thing is Georgia. So again, when we're talking about logistics, right, Georgia truly can be a nearshoring destination because we are centrally located to access Europe, Asia, and Middle East.
Yep.
And what is more important is that we have a very simple and service-oriented customs policy. You can pre-register your goods and transport, and you can then easily do the clearance from the border. 80% of goods are absolutely free from import tax, and Georgia is a member of the middle corridor of the transportation hub. So I think free trade agreements paired with the logistics, that Georgia has a port. It has a very well-developed highways, railway system that goes from China through Georgia to European Union. So I think historically, Georgia has been on the route of the Silk Road, so-called Silk Road, and
Yep.
now we are kind of see the opportunity and we see the trend of commercializing this location, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Hey, and you mentioned, I'm going to pull back here to give that slide overview because it does have an image with a map on it there. And I think that gives, for those who are unfamiliar with Georgia, it might give a better idea of kind of the layout of it is. And this, of course, here being the Black Sea, and here is the capital here, where majority of the population resides in this part of the country.
Well, naturally.
Yeah. Okay. So,
and we do have 3 airports, 3 international airports. We have a Kutaisi airport, which is the central city here in the middle, which is a low-cost airport, which attracts a lot of low-cost carriers, Wizz Air, Ryanair, you know. So I mean, this is very much well connected. We do have ports. And to stay on this slide, an interesting takeaway from investors should be the number 3rd point on the low below line. Share of reinvestments has been 44% for between 2016 and 2020, which means that investors that are already in Georgia, they trust Georgian investment climate and are eager to invest more.
I see. So from electronics manufacturing perspective, you know, there's certain things that are important to success, you know, obviously location, but so let's just talk to some of the points. Other than the location, part of that is the workforce, right? You need to have available, intelligent, competent workers. Speak to the workforce issues within the country, please.
All right, so we do have an estimation of 1.5 million workforce available, and 50% of that is 44 years old or younger, which means there is, and again, as I said, this is constantly refreshing.
Yes.
For example, if we dig down to electronics sector, we can say that average monthly salary for a skilled production operator is around 435%. Sorry, for 435 USD. And on the 9th slide, you can actually see the comparison that we have. Can you go to the slide number 9? Yes. And you can go. Let's go to slide number 7 first. Yeah. See. Average monthly salary for skilled production operative, very competitive compared to Turkey, Serbia, Romania, Poland. So I mean, this is the and if you go to the slide number 9, generally operating costs are very competitive. See, electricity, industrial gas, water, and we have deliberately compared Georgia to diverse countries, like not the similar countries like Czech Republic, Poland, Serbia, and Turkey, which is you know kind of a leader of manufacturing industry.
Absolutely. And what speak to the university system too, because there are the schools and the training that is available there for the workforce.
Yes, we do have universities that are like STEM universities that teach technical subjects. We do have a vocational education and technical skills organization providers. And what is good is we coordinate with them really well. We always feed the Ministry of Education with the information where there is a need for, let's say, a new talent pool because of the investors, because of the negotiations with investors that we have. So when investor comes to Georgia, we are not just, let's say, pointing fingers and telling them to go there and seek for employees. We do provide services of kind of coordinating that and helping them to find right people.
Okay, excellent. The other, obviously, the issue within electronics manufacturing is supply, right? The supply base. And I know that the industry within Georgia is in the beginning phases, even though you've spoken to a few successes and companies that are there and doing it. And it's also, as you mentioned, positioning itself as a manufacturing hub for export to the other nations in the area. So, which means that most of the supply chain these days, component parts and everything, come from Asia, right? So, a lot of that comes in. So I think that the idea that with the free trade agreement with China really kind of supports your value proposition as well, does it?
Yeah, we promise you. I mean, we say that we don't promise you that you're gonna get a big consumer market, but you know, for companies that are again in European Union that wants to sell products to China, right? just come here, invest in Georgia, save a lot of costs, save a lot of time, and enjoy absolutely zero tariff export from Georgia, right?
Right, exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And speak to some more about the companies that you had. You mentioned some of them as we started here.
Yeah, I can even list down names. So it's a company that was formerly was called AE Solar. Now it's called Aeon Rise. These guys are manufacturing solar panels, and this is located in Kutaisi city, which is the central city of Georgia. We do have a company called Group Atlantic that manufactures heaters, high efficiency photovoltaic solar modules as well. So I mean, we do have, again, it's more airplane part rather than electronics, but we always kind of want to mention that success stories that Georgia is manufacturing airplane parts for Boeing. So the fact that these global companies are filling well and are investing more and more and adding some new production lines. For example, the French company Group Atlantic has added a new production line very recently. It's kind of a testament that even though the sector is nascent in Georgia, we definitely see a trend of more and more international players entering market.
More entering the market. And you mentioned with the free trade agreement in China, is there also Chinese investment in the country currently? Is that?
We do have Chinese investments in the country. We'll definitely not say that it's like Georgia is dominated with Chinese investments, definitely, but we do have Chinese companies investing in development sector, Chinese companies investing in infrastructure sector, like everywhere in the world. We have a very good relationship with China. We have a concept of a liberal economy. I mean, equal terms for everyone. And which means that we are having a good partnership, with the United States being our, let's say, the strongest partner, both politically and economically. We have a good relationship with China. We have a good relationship with our neighbors. We do have, again, association agreement signed with the European Union, which means that step by step, every day, we are getting closer to EU membership. But for example, right now, Georgian citizens do not require a visa to travel to the European Union. We do have a free and comprehensive trade agreement with them. So, it's kind of well integrated, not just in European Union, but on the Eurasian continent as well.
Yeah.
There is a work underway. There's negotiations with Israel for a free trade, with India, and even with the United States.
Okay. Excellent. You've been busy. Tell me too, as any developing area faces challenges, as you're taking this and engaging with people in the industry to attract business there, specifically in the electronics manufacturing, tell me, are there any common issues of resistance that you experience, and how do you overcome those?
Well, yeah, it's been hard times, but again, government was very supportive in many directions. First of all, we managed to tackle the first and second wave of coronavirus with more or less restrictions, and that allowed us to open the economy quite quickly. But in terms of logistics, and especially concentrating on the manufacturing sector, and I think Georgia is not an example; it is exemption. Transfer of goods and transportation, even though it saw some drawbacks, more or less we can say that sector was not hit as hard as the tourism, for example, where we saw that for more than 1 year the hotels have been closed, and the government provided a lot of let's say fiscal programs for them, like subsidizing the interest rates that they have in the bank. And creating new programs that will tackle it. Right now, for example, for companies that want to manufacture goods, government has very interesting programs. We provide loan subsidies for the interest rate for the banks. We do provide collateral guarantees. And again, as I said, we do provide FDI grants for the company. Yeah. So even though we can say that it's been challenging times for the manufacturing sector, we didn't see any manufacturing facility closing down, for example. And especially we even saw some more action in F&B processing sector, like food and beverages has definitely been one of the sectors that we wouldn't say that we saw a decrease in volumes there, even more. and it's logical, right? When we're always constantly assessing the FDI global trends, and for example, we have our own strategy which we revisited, and we have, let's say, we took out some sectors for a while, and then we added some new sectors. And electronic devices sector was one of them, because we all know it's pandemic, people are staying home, working from home, which means there's a lot of need for and demand for electronic goods, computers and stuff like that. And I see that even after pandemic, this system of working from home will probably stay. So we saw a huge demand in the world by a lot of reports on electronics manufacturing, and we have kind of identified as a priority in post-COVID times. Mm-hmm. And that's why we want to get a lot of attention there as well. And that's why we want to market it through a lot of interviews and reports that in electronics manufacturing, Georgia can be a place to think about.
Yeah. So for companies who are interested in Georgia, right, what is the appropriate step to reach out to Enterprise Georgia, to your group?
Yes.
What is the best way for companies who are interested?
The best way is to directly reach us. What we do on our side is that we have a very concrete list of target companies that we call. We reach out to them. Ideally, we travel to the offices and pitch Georgia there. But because of the COVID, we switched to the online version. But if any company is interested, they can directly contact us through any channel. And the most important thing is to organize a visit to Georgia, because everything on the paper looks well and let's say strong points, but you have to come and see that, because every incentive and every advantage that I have presented you with on the slides is translated into very concrete and feasible actions in Georgia, right? So everything is, an investor has to see Georgia himself to see that all the advantages that we're mentioning is very practical.
Right. And as you just indicated too, in regards to the pandemic that's been gripping the world, things are good in Georgia right now. So travel, there's no quarantine restrictions or any such thing. Any guidelines?
Yeah, if there's a business visit, and if there's an investor who wants to have a business visit, we have a special regime for them, and they will only do the PCR testing, and they will not have to be quarantined. So that's an exemption. Business visits have a different regime. There are some countries which are considered as a red alert risk zone. But again, even from those countries, if we're talking about investments, our agency can coordinate the clearance for the simple entry to the country.
Okay. Very good.
We are flexible. One of the things about Georgia is that we are flexible. As any developing country, the main thing you have to do if you do not have a big consumer market is that you have to be flexible. Yeah. And when you describe Georgia, flexibility is definitely one of the things.
Okay, excellent. Well, listen. This is, to me, has been very, and I've been observing this for a bit here, obviously for this year. As this has been evolving, and I find it a very interesting proposition that you've put forth, and I think that you put together a very strong argument for why Georgia makes sense, within the global electronics manufacturing supply chain. Are there any issues that maybe we didn't touch on today that you would like to mention?
No, I think that's pretty much, we can say that that's what we offer. In terms of what we need right now is, let's say, and what we're working a lot right now on is the awareness. And I think our interview is a good example of that, because these advantages need to be delivered to as much, not the broader audience, but a targeted audience, especially. So we want Georgia's advantages to be present in all spots there where investment decisions are made. So that's the biggest challenge. I mean, if people ask, like, what's the challenge of investing in Georgia right now? It's the challenge is to reach out. Not the challenge. I mean, something that we have to work a lot. But again, you're a small country, and you need to have a very loud voice. Yeah. And this is our target.
Well put. Yes. So, and actually, I just, in thinking about it, will you be participating as trade shows start happening in the industry again? Will you be participating? Are there anything?
Yeah, we will participate because when I say reach out, it definitely has to be physical. We all know investment attraction doesn't happen virtually. However you try to replace it, it's impossible because it's an investment, it's a huge decision, a lot of issues with the trust. So you need to see people physically, and then you have to organize a physical visit here. So as soon as the opportunities arise, and as soon as we get back to the trade shows and the different type of industrial sectoral events, we'll definitely take part in.
Okay, excellent. Well, Mikheil, thank you very much for your time today, for giving an excellent overview of the opportunity there. I will encourage anybody who sees this to please reach out with any questions or for further information to Mikheil. If you cannot locate him or get a hold of him, get a hold of me, and I will put you in direct contact with him and do my best there. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to following this and maybe getting another update later in the year as things evolve for you.
Thank you, Eric, and you have our outstanding invitation to Georgia as well.
Well, I thank you, sir. I will take you up on that someday. So thank you very much, and enjoy your weekend.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.